Hello.
Did it play twice, or am I crazy?
No, I think
The intro or the
I know what it
applause?
is. I'm sorry, I know what it is. I had the
Oh, you
audio
had
on
another
the other-
window open with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
That
all
happens to me sometimes.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Anyhow, welcome to Quantum Leap Revisited, our weekly show where we rewatch and we go over episodes of the classic series from 1989, Quantum Leap, not to be confused with Quantum Leap 2022. That's a separate matter. Here we're actually celebrating the original show and all the really good things about it. And as usual, I have this great panel of people here, the distinguished gentlemen that you already know from your weekly visits to this channel. We first of all have Sean Krummel, the artist. Sean has a collection of stickers that he's designed, which you can buy at its Etsy shop, which the link is in the description below. It's Sean Krummel Art at Etsy, right?
Real Sean Krummel Art.
Real Sean Krummel Art. There's not the phony Sean Krummel. Not the phony.
That guy either. None of those guys.
Not the phony one, the real Sean Krummel Art. So we got him here. Sean also has his own YouTube channel where he does videos where he draws stuff, and in addition to that, he also does live streams about pop culture and also retro comic book reviews. Really cool stuff happening on his channel. You should check it out when you have time. Next we have sorry, Sean, how's it going?
Great.
Awesome. Next we have Nicholas, the Back Yard Tardis. Nick, if you don't know, he is a man of many titles, wears many hats in his local town. He is the local minister at his church, but he's also the local locksmith, and he also assists his sheriff and fire department in special operations. He also has his own ranch where he raises goats, and he's an expert in sci-fi, and we have him here today. How's it going, Nick?
It's going. I've got a crazy day. That's why I'm just a blue box today, but glad to get here. I had to move a lot of things to get here, but I'm glad to be here.
We're glad you're here too. I myself have had a pretty busy day, but we all kind of make this effort to do this show, and I'm really happy that we do it. It's already our 16th stream, our 16th episode that we're doing Quantum Leap Revisited, and it's nice that we've just been doing this every week and been able to connect with so many great people that have been watching it and enjoying it. And speaking of great people, we have the Script Doctor with us. Script Doctor, for those, I won't say those are unfamiliar, because the people I see here in the chat, they're very familiar, but he is a seasoned screenwriter. He has his own Patreon where he teaches people about screenwriting and gives them tips and advice. In addition, he has a relatively new show that he started in recent times, Scripts on Saturdays, which he goes over screenplays that have been considered by big studios but not produced, and he goes over them, analyzes them, discusses them with different guests. I had the pleasure of being a guest on that show. It's every Saturday at 7:30. Script, is that correct? 7:30, right?
7 p.m. 7 p.m.
7 p.m.
Yep.
What did I say?
7:30.
It's been a long day.
A half hour late. It's okay. It's about an hour, an hour and a half show. You can always rewatch, catch up. It's great.
Let me rephrase that.
It's not a shooting star type show where it vanishes after it goes off the air.
No. But let me rephrase what I said. I'd like to retract my statement. I said 7:30, but what I meant to say was that it was at 7 p.m. Eastern on his channel, Script Doctor. And in addition, there's also a lot of other great videos that he's done. And you should always check out what he's doing, subscribe to his channel, and follow him as well. How's it going, Script?
It's going well. I've been busy. Managed to drop an awesome interview I had with an independent comic creator on my channel, so go check that out. And it was a pleasure talking with him. Just happy to be here tonight with you gentlemen and everyone out there in the chat to talk Quantum Leap.
And as usual, we're on YouTube and on Rumble, and we have some great people here that I already see. Some people that we frequently see here, whether it's Tex Rogers or Ron Donofero. I also saw Joshua Calkins, Noah Wharton. So we got some good people here, and we'll be paying attention to your comments. I guess without further ado, we can jump into this week's episode. We saw it last episode that he leaps into a rabbi at a kind of interesting moment, and then this episode just picks up from there. Sean's going to be helping me today. He's going to be loading up the video because I'm currently in a undisclosed location.
A remote bunker in Siberia.
Well, it's definitely remote, that's for sure, and mobile.
Right.
All right, so
Okay, Ron Donofero asks, where is Scarif? Ro was feeling a bit under the weather today, so he's going to take it easy and rest, but of course we wish him well, and hopefully he'll feel better soon.
He unfortunately caught some scuttlebutt.
It's been going around.
All right, take it away, Bryce.
Okay, so we jump in here. He's just barely understanding where he's at. This is a funny leap because somehow leaping into this congregation and they're all listening to him and he's just kind of standing there. It's funny. It's a funny situation, and he's looking at him and he's looking at the audience and he just doesn't even know where he's at or what he's doing, and he's like, he says, "Oy vey, I'm the rabbi," which is funny. I know
love
Nick.
This face. I just love this face. He's just like, "Oh, it's a pleasant place to be."
I do not belong here at all.
Well, when you think of the premise of the show, like they've hinting at that, they believe there's a higher power. So this higher power obviously has a sense of humor, because this is like the worst possible moment to jump into this person, is right as they're expected to start performing a ritual
Mm-hmm.
as part of the ceremony, and like he doesn't know what it is. He's
they're wrapping up the bat mitzvah for this girl, and the rabbi is supposed to have a story to share with the rest of the people, and he is literally leapt in right before he has to share such a story, and that is an awkward situation.
That reminds me, they don't even tell you what he said. Like just after they're like, that was an interesting sermon today or whatever.
Can I quote?
Like, what did he tell them?
Sure.
Yeah, that was funny that they left it open, that you don't even know what he said, and then the lead's like, "Can I quote you?" And he's like, "Sure." And that was funny.
Yeah.
And then I guess we have the credits that were the good credits, even though the opening is still him narrating.
True. Sorry.
And this scene is just funny. I mean, it's always funny that he arrives somewhere and he doesn't know what's going on, but this one is kind of more amusing than usual, even for some reason. It's just it's a very typical kind of event, and they're all looking at him a certain way, and he's just confused as to why he's even there. And even the part that he's trying to figure out, oh, this guy's my brother, oh, that's his wife, and I don't know, the whole thing, how he just stumbles from one place to the other is funny. This thing that you showed here, they wanted him to do the blessing on the bread, and he doesn't know it, of course. And this was I really like how Al enters this place, how Al appears in this one, because he arrives just at the right time, and he's like, just say what I tell you. You're going to say this blessing, and everybody's going to be fine. And then he says it, and it's just funny.
Yep. And I mean, we get more insight into Al here. Not only is he wearing a symbol on his jacket that looks an awful lot like an Idic from Star Trek, but he's also talks about his third ex-wife, who is Jewish, and how much he learned of that culture and that tradition by being with her.
Right. And Al's just this episode, every time he's on screen, he has something kind of amusing to say. I really liked Al in this one. I don't know why, he cracks me up. Like I don't know, his humor and his delivery, I would say, even holds up on a modern level. Whether it's his performance or just the way he delivers the lines, and even the writing of it, it's just it feels in a way, I don't know if to say ahead of its time, atypical for a 1989 show. And this is the part. I mean, there's a few funny parts here. I guess we should move forward a bit. Okay, so this is the part where they see him talking, and they're like, "Why is the rabbi talking to himself?" And then some guy's like, just give me the knish." Like, stop.
Well, here's the other part too. Like the reverence to the rabbi in this community. He's not used to all that attention, and they're also trying to keep him a little distance as well. It's quite humorous.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry,
Right.
Sean, you were saying.
And Al's just going crazy over the food.
Right, he's like, "Oh, like if only a hologram could eat, this is so great. Oh, my ex-wife." I think he starts talking about it here, and he's like talking to him about like the gefilte fish, and then he should put horseradish on it. I don't know, the whole thing is just funny. I guess
feel like the way he delivers lines in this struck me a little more than normal.
In a good way or bad way?
Oh yeah, totally good. Like he has a couple of like later on he says like nothing, and just the way he delivers nothing is kind of deadpan, and it cracked me up.
The part that cracked me up that comes soon but not yet is now's the part that they have to dance. I think Hava Nagila or something like that he teaches him. That part is funny, that he's like, "Oh, like I have to teach you how to do this," and he's like teaching him how to do it, and Sam's like trying to emulate it, and it's funny.
I love this shot, especially with the camera being kind of low to the ground and they're all going in a circle, and Al's just bouncing across. That's great.
Right. Really like this. And
you figured that'd be part of like the opening credits, but it never comes back for the opening credits of the series.
Yeah.
What I like about this is that he's mimicking Al, and Al is doing it in time with them, but he's going the opposite. Like he's one step behind them for Sam.
Most of the time,
so he's kicking the wrong way.
Well, this guy, especially the old man, is off at some point.
But that's normal. I've been to a few of these ceremonies. That's about normal.
yeah. You can't have everybody in unison doing this thing. You know, this is fine. That's why Sam can get away with this. But seeing Al, I mean, this is also good work from Dean Stockwell, who really I just really like him in this scene.
Yeah, especially in this, I was like, he has like the best job on this show to be the magical little character that pops in and gets to have fun whenever.
Right, and it's so important. It's such an important part of the show. I mean, it seems like, well, Sam's already there. He could just do the leap himself or whatever it is. But his interaction with Al and Al's presence is always just balances everything out. And so many times it adds a touch of humor to it. And in this episode, it's really necessary because, as you know, I was talking with Sean before, there's elements of this episode that are even a bit dark. But when you see them balanced by Dean Stockwell's delivery and humor and performance, it kind of... It shows what makes this show kind of unique, I think.
And I like that they're just showing, the cultural aspect of this, and that, it always gets me, whether it's Jewish, European, Hispanic, like they all have these fun things to their weddings. It's like it's the Americans that just have the more simplistic weddings, and I like the culture of it. Them just getting and Sam starting out feeling very awkward, and as it goes out, he's like, "Hey, this is fun." He starts getting into it.
And really, I mean, you yourself, sometimes there's people that come together in some kind of congregation, and you're talking to them. So I think that in this episode, you yourself have something sort of in common with Sam.
Yeah.
People are no, I mean, people are asking him for advice and stuff like that. I'm sure people do that with you.
There is, and there's a moment later though when I'm going to get into it is the I like when he's at the table and he sits down
And all the women leave.
The two women leave because
Oh,
they're sitting there gossiping, and it's like, oh, we can't continue this conversation in front of the rabbi.
this
Right.
one chick is from Clueless. She's the teacher they try to set up.
That's right. Set up with the villain from one of the villains from A Princess Bride.
Yeah. I always forget his name. Yeah.
The only reason I know that is my girlfriend in high school liked to watch that movie almost weekly.
I despised that movie growing up, and now that I'm an old man, I'm like, this is so charming.
Which one? Clueless? What?
Yeah,
Clueless.
It's not a movie that I don't think I was ever the demographic for it, but it sort of has its own charm, I guess.
Mm-hmm. What I like about this type of scene is not only do we have the one lady who wants to talk to him about something in private, which is a great little subtle setup, but when Sam actually starts asking Al, why is he here? And Al's looking at Ziggy, and Ziggy's saying, oh, in the year 5,170. What the heck is this? And he's like, oh, it's Jewish calendar.
Yeah.
I like that was great, because it's like Ziggy's like staying right on board with the research and what it's supposed to be doing.
And then it turns out it's only like 38 hours from now. It's like, where's he getting 5,734?
And then there's the line that I thought was the funniest part. I don't know why it even today just cracks me up in his delivery, that when he starts explaining that the wife of the brother is going to have a one-night stand, it'll ruin the family. And then Al's like, well, usually a one-night stand is good. I don't know what he starts talking about. I don't remember how he delivers it, but I was just cracking up.
Well, they have the two different viewpoints. Like later on in the kitchen. And Al's all about one night stands and blah blah blah, and if it's something like if
he says something
to no war.
Like, if every man could be with every woman who wanted to be with every man, there would be no war. And then as Sam says, until their wives found out. He's like, exactly.
There's also a part that he goes, what are you talking about? You've been married 5 times. He's like, every relationship I've had is really good. It's the marriages that didn't work out. I don't know. He had just so many good lines and delivery in this one.
Yep.
So he tells him that there's going to be a problem with a wife. She's going to have a one-night stand. It's going to destroy the family.
And it's going to destroy the daughters. You won't trust a man.
Right.
You won't trust anyone. Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll destroy the daughter too. And here, I really like the writing in this episode in the sense that they introduce different ideas at the right time, and they didn't do it all at once. Is this already the part that he tries to play the guitar?
No, a little bit later. That's the Scrabble game. Here, he's actually just trying to encourage his niece to not be so shy about the boy that she likes, who also likes her.
Yeah.
Right. And here you also see the father's sort of grouchy and grumpy and whatever, and sort of
cold and
closed
distant.
off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And he's like, he suddenly is like, I need to go get gas in the car because there's a gas shortage, and he's gonna have to wait in line, and he can't wait till Monday or whatever.
Right.
And she's like, I want to go with you.
The fact that they looked at the year and the things that were going on in that year, because obviously, like, the gas shortage doesn't factor into the story at all. But it was like, oh, the gas. So let's write that into the script to make it feel authentic for the time period. I just love stuff like that.
Yeah, and it's kind of done in a very little way, like a very kind of minor way, nonchalantly kind of slipped in there. But it's not something that a lot of times in these type of shows, it's done in a way that feels very too showy or too forced or too something. This is so kind of smooth the way they just put that in there.
Well, it gives you time.
Go ahead, Sean.
It just gives you time to get to know what's going on in the brother's head, because previously he had said at the reception, you should go dance with your wife, and he's like, are you talking as my brother or my rabbi? Because I don't need to hear it from either of you. And then now you kind of get in his head. It allows that moment to find out where he's coming from a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, this one was great because he's talking about, their childhood growing up with their dad, seeing hockey games, I think it was, because they're talking about the Bruins.
I think it's basketball, actually, because he says, why don't you take your daughter to the basketball game?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
But I was confused also because I thought the Bruins were hockey.
They definitely are. But yeah, like he's trying to, Sam's just doing the general thing, saying like, why don't you take your kid? And we have no idea of the turn that's going to be revealed later going on here. So why this guy's acting so cold, so distant, why he's talking about fathers and sons and all that stuff. But it's well implied, but it's not confirmed until a few beats later. And then you have this horrible thing where he says, I just feel like I want to have an affair.
Mm-hmm.
And Sam is completely taken aback by that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been so easy to just unload some of these details very early on, but the way they kind of gradually give you a little extra information, a little extra, and really build this picture, it gives you the time to get to know the characters, but also learn their story, and also deal with what Sam's dealing with, how he arrived here. And the writing here is sort of this really fancy juggling act, which totally works, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I know at first I was a little confused, but I like how it worked out. Because they're showing him, he's cold, disaffectionate, he's just emotionally sapped, and you're like, well, why would you want to have an affair? You can't even look at your family. But when they reveal it later why he's the way he is, it really shows that he has almost animosity towards his family, specifically his wife.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's really well done. And then here he almost seems like a jerk. He's like, I want to cheat on my wife. I should have a one night stand. He's like telling Sam this, and totally making him unlikable. You just kind of don't even like this guy. He's just annoying. But then the way they continue to introduce the information, you see that there's something else that you didn't even fully understand, which I like that they managed to change your perception of an entire situation just by gradually adding these details to the story.
Mm-hmm.
And I like how Al kind of addresses the conflict when Sam's talking to him about how his brother wants to have an affair. It's like, good, maybe both of them can do it. Just don't let either one find out. They just need to get out of their system. It's like, and Sam's coming at it from the more authentic approach, which is they have to address what the core problem is that would make them contemplate such a thing.
Yeah, this made me think of like Star Trek episodes where you get the two conflicting viewpoints. They do kind of take a stand which one's the better one, but just made me think of old school writing and stuff where they could present two different viewpoints and leave it up to the audience to decide what's the best course of action or whatever.
For sure. And again, this is what good science fiction does, that you get these kind of different viewpoints, different things, and really presented in an interesting way. She's now in the kitchen. I think that this isn't that part yet. There's still... What are they talking about here? Do you remember this exact thing?
Well, she's going to make dinner for them.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think they really talk about much. She's just setting up, and then they go to the living room, and this is where
this is where he wants to play the guitar. He's like, oh, this wonderful guitar. And that's...
Well, he plays the word sushi, and she challenges him on the word. It's like, well, why would you not? I get it. He's just trying to be...
That confused me because like nobody had ever heard of sushi in the 70s.
I'm pretty sure they did, especially if you were served in the Second World War and ate at the bases in that region that served it, or even in the Korean War and you had an outpost in the South Pacific. Like you would encounter sushi, which is not just raw fish. It's a style of
preparation.
Yeah,
it is possible that a young woman wouldn't know what that term is. Possibly. I mean, it's possible. If it was the older guy, maybe I would think it was weird. But she's a young lady. Maybe she doesn't know what it is.
Do they state what city they're living in?
I'm not sure.
I don't know.
I don't. Well, I mean, it's got to be Midwest because, or it's got to be maybe in the New York
There's a
region
beach.
because there's a beach. So it's by a place with a Great Lake,
Right.
and close enough for Boston for them to be Bruins fans and the local community, and also basketball, which is probably the Celtics or Celtics as they say over there.
Because I would think at that period of time, outside of like major cities, it took a while for that to go from something that people knew about, something that all of those soldiers coming back over had a taste for it. But I don't think it was like today where you can just get sushi at the gas station. There was,
yeah.
I think it took a while for that to catch on as a regular trend. So if they're in a not large town, it might not be around there.
No, Tex Rogers is asking.
February. It's February, but when we go to the beach, it clearly looks like it's kind of spring or summer. So maybe they're in a different region.
It seems like Tex had a question for you, Script. I wonder if Script Doctor is aware of the writer Tammy Ader, maybe aware of the writer. Do you know her? This writer?
She did. Well, she's a temporary staff writer. She's not on a series for a very long time. I know that part. Probably mostly on the open writing stuff. I know what she's on. She did a show for a few episodes. The Nev Campbell sitcom, or not sitcom, the drama. I can't remember what the name of it was, but I
Table of Five, Party of Five,
Party
of Five. Yes, that was the one.
Table for Five.
Party of Five, and I think that's I could be wrong, but she may have done other dramas of that type. But yes, she did. She did that. Yeah.
It's good. You were in the ballpark. It just makes me laugh that it still worked. It could have been.
Table of Five is a great show name for a restaurant sitcom.
It was close enough. You knew what I meant. It was the one that introduced Scott Wolf and Sarah Jessica Parker. Jennifer Love Hewitt.
Yeah, right. And who's the other? Lacey Chabert? That's the one who also looked like Jennifer Love Hewitt because I think they didn't play sisters, even though they should have. Yeah.
We got a guest called Dust. Good evening, fellas. Good evening, Mr. Dust. Anyhow, this is the part where he pulls out the guitar, I think, somehow, but we skipped it.
I'm trying to. It's touchy. There you go.
Okay. So pulls out the guitar. Of course, Samuel Beckett knows how to play instruments, but I think even Scott Bakula himself knows how to play, but didn't get a chance to in this one. So
she freaks out about it.
She freaks out, and then here I think that even if you don't know anything, you're starting to suspect what this means, but still, it's still nice that it's not spelled out clearly, and only when they're sitting here in this meal and they talk about him wanting to play the guitar and all this stuff, then he finally understands what's going on with his family and that they're actually grieving. So it's not just like two careless people that wanted to have affairs and just some regular marital nonsense, but this is something a lot more serious. And it's sort of where the episode takes kind of what Sean was saying, that it was kind of a darker turn. But still, I like the way they led up to it. They didn't do it in a second. They did it in an interesting way. There was a lot of humor moments prior to that, and now it's kind of getting more serious.
Well, even here, they're still not beating you over the head with it, because she's talking about, I'm sorry if the meat is too dry or thick or something like that.
Tough or something like that, yeah.
Right.
And then he's getting irritated with her apologizing until the point where they just start blowing up at each other again, and the daughter leaves.
Well, she says she ends up snapping at her mom, and then her mom's like, hey, you don't take that tone with me. But you can tell she's just getting frustrated because this is the dinner table. This is how her parents are with each other. And at one point in the show, she even says, isn't that, what husbands are supposed to do?
Oh, yeah.
You know, she's realizing her parents don't love each other anymore, and at one point she even says she wishes she was the one that died.
Well, and she's also feeling just dejected a little bit from the family because her dad doesn't give her any attention, not the stuff that she needs, and you can tell they're falling apart.
It's great because it is subtle, and it's you as the audience are like Sam. You're getting more information bit by bit as you move along.
I see that Ro is actually watching the stream, and he commented that this episode was deeply personal for the writer. I feel very soap opera-ish. You know, I think that if it didn't have the humor parts, if it wasn't built up nicely, if it didn't have Sam and Al and the way they were dealing with this, it could have slipped into soap opera territory. But I think that the writers do a nice job at sort of balancing it out in a way that there's enough to enjoy about this episode. It certainly does take a more emotional or personal, go in a personal direction somewhere midway through the episode, but not in a way that makes it intolerable or unbearable for me.
I feel good.
I would say, you know, because when you think of soap opera-ish, you know, there's lots of love triangles and stuff like that. And while there is the idea of cheating and kind of a little bit of over-the-top family drama, I also feel like they back it up. It's real, and unlike a soap opera that is like nonstop one family constantly going and revolving through trauma and dramatic scenes, this is a real thing. As someone, when you have ones in your congregation, like this is his family, but I feel like it's a very personal thing that it takes so much time to heal from something like this. So much unbelievable time. And heal is a relative term because you do heal from it, but it'll leave a mark on this family for the rest of time.
For sure. I actually think that the way they're showing the grief is interesting. A lot of shows make it more soap opera-ish, but I feel like here that they're trying to live these regular lives and deal with these kind of mundane things, but yet it's somehow all underneath the surface. I think that there's a little more nuance in the way they set it up. Even though maybe at the end the way it all erupts, you know, is very emotional, I do think that until that moment they're really dancing around and not really dealing with a real issue. And it's like you said, Nick, that's sometimes part of grief is acting like that. It's not really dealing with it, but sort of trying to live your life and do regular things, but that it's still somehow there, and the impact that it has, I guess.
Mm-hmm. And I really like the map that we see in this bedroom here, because that supports the conversation that is going to take place in this scene. Because look at where all the push pins are.
Subtle cue or subtle information.
Yeah. I mean, in the other part too, like this is a very untouched space.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So they're talking now, and now is this the part that? Oh, not yet. There's the part where she's kind of hugs him, and she seems like she's into him. Is that here?
It's coming. Yes. He's gonna spend the night. He asked to spend the night, and I sometimes wonder if Sam would do something like that just because he doesn't know how to get home. He doesn't know where the character lives.
He looks at his wallet. He's like, I have no address on my person here. Can I stay here for the night?
Or can I borrow a map? I don't know where I am.
It's like, Al, where do I live?
Yeah.
The funny thing here is that Sam kind of suddenly is into it. You know what I mean? It's like he forgot he was the rabbi or the brother or whatever. Somehow Sam, with all of his good qualities, if there's some lady that's into him,
he reciprocates.
It doesn't upset him.
That makes me wonder how much the character he's jumping into has an effect on push and pull kind of like internally reactions.
Well, and it's as a minister, we get a lot of training, a lot of reminders, because this is a very dangerous situation for a minister. I mean, he's also family in this, but when you have someone emotionally distraught and you come out as a form of comfort, like even if his intention is just she needs to be held, she needs to be comforted, and he might have no alternative, that can quickly become something inappropriate, because if they're not receiving that from their spouse, they can start to develop those feelings. So it's very important that while you want to extend that comfort, you have to be careful.
Yeah, and you have to basically make sure there's barriers and understand that what they're seeking for it can appear superficial from another person, but it has no meaning unless it's from the person you actually need it from.
All right, real quick, I just want to hit this. Scarif has made an appearance.
Hey, Ro.
I think what happened to Ro is what happened to Roger Rabbit when you knock on the door, and he just can't help. Like he saw that we were doing it. Forget it. So I have
the pop goes the weasel knock. Yeah.
He had his points to make, and he's like, F it. I'm not feeling well, but I'm coming in, and we appreciate that. How's it going, man? Ro, are you okay?
Yeah, all's good. Just had a little stomach issue. I thought it was gonna take it a little longer, but I'll
Bad sushi?
I don't eat sushi.
Bad gefilte fish.
Yeah, there you go. Apropos for this episode.
Well, I mean, this scene is actually a very heartwarming scene, because you see how much pain she's in, and how she blames herself because she's seeing something that definitely makes her a good mother and one that trusts her child. And a tragedy occurs, and we learn that her son dies on a plane going to Europe. And she feels like if she was a better mother, she would have never let him go. But that's actually the opposite of the case. If she was a good mother, she would let him go, because that would show that she trusts him to be able to take care of himself on his own. And you can't control a freak accident like that, which is also incredibly rare too. Like plane crashes are, you'd have a better chance winning the lottery 3 or 4 times before being in a plane crash.
Statistically, still the safest way to fly, according to Superman.
And regular stats too. I mean, but yes. But I mean, I just like the performance here. I like the way that the exposition is handled, because it's really, really cleverly woven in. It doesn't feel like you're being front loaded with a whole bunch of details.
And she also doubly blames herself, because she had to talk the father into letting the son go on the trip to Europe. So she's got twice the guilt going on.
This episode for me was very different than anything else that we've seen. And I think I mentioned it before I hopped in. It was I felt like it was a very serious and personal story. It was, I use the term soap operation. I didn't mean it to make it seem like it was bad. It was just really deep and heavy. At times, I was just watching, and at times I forgot it was a Quantum Leap episode, because it was just so heavy with the relationships and all that stuff, which was a kind of a nice surprise, coming out of some of these other episodes that were, a little gimmicky. But I think this one, and then probably, next week too, is going to be kind of a little heavy and weird for us to talk about. But this one is just, it is really good though.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I was like, we are a far cry from the 50s radio station at this point.
Well, right, and we talked about this when he leapt into the black gentleman, and it just, when you have some of these deep ones, you couldn't have a whole season that was nothing but that. If this was every week, it was
Too heavy.
really depressing trauma, stuff like this, people would stop tuning in. But by pacing it that this will be impactful. You go, wow, man, that episode was really something. But then you also go in and it'll be the crazy remembering him be a DJ. It provides the balance, and they do a really excellent job of flipping that back and forth and not having a section of the season be just all really deep.
Mm-hmm.
Tex says that Al helps break up the heaviness of this episode. Mm-hmm. I thought Al was. I think they railed Al in a little bit more than usual. I mean, he had some funny stuff, but I think if they let Al loose more so than, or I guess as usual, the impact of this episode probably would have been a little watered down. Yeah. That's my thoughts anyways. I think they did. It was a perfect balance. I think a perfect balance between the comedy that Al brings, the usual stuff than usual. But it was a perfect balance. My only complaint was the Heimlich maneuver situation was shoehorned in.
It's coming up.
That was pretty funny. I mean,
yeah.
You know what? It didn't take up as much time as Michael Jackson dancing
right.
in the bathroom. At least it was quick, and it just blinked.
And I love his reaction. I mean, it's like comedy timing.
Oh yeah,
he's so distracted by what just happened that the woman that's talking to him saying that they have a meeting is like completely like not even in the top 10 of the things appropriate right now. He's like, wait, did I just invent the Heimlich maneuver from the guy who taught me the Heimlich maneuver?
Right. We'll get to that. This house makes me feel like Growing Pains or some TV sitcom.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a beautiful house too, but
yeah. And he is so orange. But this is Sam freaking out that he thinks he's the one that she's gonna have the affair with.
Right. And I mean, the funny part too is Alice is like, well, then just don't do it. He's like, don't do it. Okay, so you should leave. No,
and they're standing there, and he's like, all right, no, get out of here.
How logical is that, though? I mean, that was great. It's like if you're the guy, then just stop. Okay, ready? Let's get to the next one, and
promise not to do it again, or not to go through with it ever. That's very funny. This guy, I don't think we've mentioned Bert.
Oh yeah, the creepy pseudo writer.
Yeah, and he says that he's a widower. He's been a widower, and it's been like 2 years or something.
2 years. He talks to all the women at all these events. Yes. I don't know how he got involved in this community.
He's writing his book, right? And he's doing his little research. He reminds me of Robert Reed. He's got the whole Mr. Brady in the late 70s after the show look, like the revival Brady movies,
like with the curly hair.
Yes.
Oh yeah, the male perm of the early 70s.
Yeah.
He should have done a matching beard perm.
I always thought it was weird that the Brady father had the perm with the curly hair. I mean,
the actor was gay.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, I guess, in retrospect. Yeah, but even so, I mean, it's just kind of weird because he had wavy hair, and why would he suddenly have curly hair? But I mean, didn't the producers ask why do you have curly hair now?
Because it's the style, man.
Yeah, it was the thing back then.
Don't you dig?
There you go.
It just makes me think of that Pizza Hut commercial where it was like a crossover with Blockbuster, and they were like, you get a pizza and you get a free perm, and it's a whole family in perms, and they're like, they'll never top that deal.
But 70s. his kind of thing is something you get ones that will come in to a religious group and they have no real interest in the faith. They're just looking to hook up with someone. Instead of going to bars, they're going to churches.
Oh, the body count's lower.
Maybe.
I mean, I like visiting churches too, but I usually do it with friends or family just to get a sense of what's going on here, and maybe ask questions and stuff. I'm not looking to start a fight or looking to pick up anybody. I'm looking to satiate my curiosity that I have at that moment, and no one is ever upset by that because they always are welcoming.
Mm-hmm.
So Lisa Katrine says that she believes that the actor is a friend of Dean Stockwell, this Russ Tamblyn guy. And Tex Rogers is very impressed with this.
Indeed. This guy is in a lot of stuff, but I can't remember what from.
Oh, he's a character actor.
Mhm.
He's been in tons of stuff in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, Dust says that this would make sense because they're both David Lynch regulars. Wasn't aware of all this. This is really interesting information.
Yeah. That's your Heimlich scene.
There's your Heimlich scene.
I'm trying to get his face whenever he's like, what?
Yeah, there
That.
there it is. it plays it very well.
Yeah, but this is the girl from the reception that he's supposed to have a meeting with to talk.
That was
And
weird.
he's
suddenly
like, hey, did you forget?
Yeah.
we lost Ro, and then suddenly he came back.
Like Palpatine.
Somehow Ro has returned.
He's floating in the black void there.
So she admits to having an affair with the beardy guy.
Yeah.
Because her husband of 17 years was ignoring her.
Yeah. What is Ron Donafero's? Oh, because of Ro disappearing.
Oh yeah, paradox plot hole.
But I like his response of, I think we need to make another appointment. Because that's a thing when you're a minister, and like he doesn't have a connection to it, but like ones come up to confess or air these things, sometimes to get guidance, sometimes depending on the faith for confession. But it can hit you. It can be hard. Like you're supposed to give good solid responses and stuff, but like sometimes it takes you completely by surprise. Like the person that you would think would never do a certain thing, think, oh, I just, oh, and you have to take that in and keep that to yourself.
You're like, how many clowns were involved?
Yeah.
It stays in Vegas.
No, I get that.
If it happened on international waters, you don't really need to involve me.
But this also gives him a little more. What I like here is that initially they planted her. She knew a lot of information. She needed to talk to him. And now the payoff is that she's bringing him more information about that bird character. I really like the way this unfolded too. One could argue that this episode touches upon a serious issue, but it doesn't take away from the fact that the writing here, like I said before, it's a very, very clever juggling act of a lot of different moving parts, and the way it brings it together is kind of seamless.
Mm-hmm.
I think, at least. I don't know.
No, I concur.
I agree.
It's woven all together because not only do we get it comes in threes actually. The first one is with her talking with the girls at the bat mitzvah. The next part is her talking to Sam, and then this is the third point of the reveal. And you've got this nice little breadcrumb trail of what's going on actually, and then Sam's able to piece it together, and now we as the audience are able to be like, oh, so there's a guy who's a widow who's injected himself in this community, and he's preying on unfulfilled Jewish women, which is a niche market.
For sure.
Yeah. This is where they are planning.
And this is where they come with the idea of taking those
Beach
two.
house. Yeah.
Go to the beach house, and he'll watch the daughter. So Sam at least knows where he can be for the next day or two, because he still doesn't know where he lives.
Which is more setup and payoff, because the sleazeball writer guy, he asked him at the thing before, hey, you been to the beach house?
Yeah, in the beginning.
No, I don't. And so they had a conversation. So we already know he has a beach house, and we already know that guy is aware that he has a beach house that he's not using.
Mm-hmm. Right. This is also clever.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, she wants to do something with her husband, and he's like, no, I don't want to go. He's all grumpy as usual. No, I mean that's what he is. And then
I just like whenever when you ad lib and you're just like, oh.
I mean, he is like that.
He is. I don't know if it's ad libbing, but I like your reenactments sometimes.
I think I conveyed. I summed up the character as best as I could, and then I don't know. He says, "Oh, this is the part that he says, oh, if you like my brother so much, why didn't you marry him?" And then I think is this the part that she says I should have, or was that a different part?
that was right before he.
And then the daughter says you should have been my dad or something like that.
Something like that. I mean, in Jewish customs, if her father dies and since he's single, he would have to marry the widow. And I'm surprised that Al didn't have a joke of that ready at one point. But I like the fact that it's done quite maturely here, where now that the wife has gone off to the beach house to be alone, even though she didn't want to be, Al's finally here with some actually very useful information.
Yeah, and this scene surprised me too, because every time I see Al, or sometimes he's got that sound effect that signifies that he's entering the scene. This surprised me because I always expect Al to come in with some sort of comedic quip or something. And again, getting back to my comment earlier about reeling him back, very tastefully done. He was serious. He's asking, how you doing? There was no quips. It was, genuine concern from Al. And I like that.
I like how he just appears sometimes. Like you just pan and Al's standing there.
Mm-hmm.
So at this point, I think that he already tells him that the sleazy writer is a sleazy writer. So now at this point, I think Sam knows that he needs to go stop this thing.
Yeah, and she's already.
There he is.
Man, it's really hard to get this.
I mean, he's wowing her with his perm and pipe,
and it's really creepy. But I like the fact that we get all the details. He never was really married. He's been researching women, and researching is in air quotes, women.
Yeah.
And Irene, which is the wife, is going to be chapter 6 of his book tonight if Sam can't stop it.
Yeah, that's what Al was saying, that it was a bestseller and Al read it and it was terrible.
Yeah.
So now is the part where Sam follows her back to the beach house.
Yeah, you see headlights pulling out and he asks where he went.
And that lights a fire under the husband finally.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Finally, the husband is doing something, and the husband never truly appreciates what an important thing Sam is doing now. He's jumping to all the wrong conclusions, but
mm-hmm.
I'm kind of annoyed that this wife fell for this sleazy guy. Even in her situation, that she would fall for this guy with a perm and a pipe.
I thought it was funny though, because it takes
a wedding finger.
Yeah, it takes like 3 tries. He lays on the slime 3 different times before she finally.
It is so cringe. I mean, it's really just uncomfortable, and it's played well. I mean, props to the 2 actors in the scene for making it as awkward and uncomfortable as they can.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and it goes to show you if you have that commitment of remaining faithful in that, this is the danger of putting yourself in this kind of situation.
Trying not to pause it on them kissing because of course, sorry.
When the other party is pushing like that, it's clear she has no intention of cheating on her husband. but every time he goes in for it, she's having a harder time. He makes it farther before she pushes him away.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and this pipe comes out of nowhere.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
It was on the table. He palmed it from his left hand to his right. I saw. But
he's just like a wizard, man.
he's right in. Well, he's playing the role, right? Like I'm the unassuming next door neighbor. I was checking in. I saw the lights on. No one had been in this house for a year. I wasn't filling up your.
Yeah.
And this is where Sam comes in and explains exactly who he is and that he's a liar and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then this kind
With
of
no evidence,
sobers
and
up
she
and
still buys it. And I'm very happy that she's so trustworthy of the rabbi here, because he provides no evidence, and the author doesn't even try to deflect it either. He's like,
what a
he's
weasel.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's lucky. I mean, even with the writing, but the thing is, because he's a rabbi, you kind of, he came all the way here with this information. You don't think that he's going to show up at this moment in time with this kind of information unless he means it.
Mm-hmm.
It's either
He's
the biggest...
also her brother-in-law.
Right. I mean, he cares, and yes, you could have said, well, he has an ulterior motive because of the brother, but a few minutes ago, he himself was almost kissing her. So I figure, he wants to do the right thing,
Mm-hmm.
Plus, there's only 8 minutes left in the episode, so you can't
literally
extend it any longer. But yeah.
I mean, there's quick ways. Be like, what's her name? This. What's her birthday? Yeah. What'd you die of? Like, just hit her with 20 questions really quick.
Yeah.
And then all you have to be is like, wait a minute, you said she died in a car accident. Yes.
Gotcha.
He had cancer, but in a car accident.
God.
And now the brother shows up and he thinks that this is, he's uncovered that they are having an affair.
Right.
But this is the part where they talk.
Wait, did the writer disappear? I didn't see him leave, or
he ran out.
He's like, hey, no, it's cool because it's for this book. Like he's like, how can you not understand that this is a good thing that I'm doing?
Right. Yeah. Delusional.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ron Donofrio says a sentence that's important once that's a funny sentence from Al, but it's smart because he's saying, it's good that he hit you. He's getting it out of his system. Let him do it again.
And he's just right there. And he's happy.
I'll catch you, Sam. I can't catch you.
Yeah, that was funny. That was great. But the fact that Al did say it, he hit
there
and he's
go.
like, let him hit you again. This is great.
Well, and like, the stages of grief, you have to, if he was in such a monotone state where he was numb, he wasn't feeling anything. So the fact that he's having an emotion, even if it's a negative one.
The anger stage right before he gets into acceptance and all those other parts, like he was in denial for a long time.
And his speech is so well written. It's emotional. You can relate to it. If obviously it's a difficult subject, but it's really great to have this character kind of spill it all out and be vulnerable the way he turned out to be.
And he's like, why does she keep vacuuming his room? He's gone.
Yeah.
It's like, Jesus.
But I mean, it's beautiful that every time she goes in there, she feels that he's still around. And I mean, like the connection's still there. She can always excuse it that he's away at college or he's on Europe or out of the house. Like there's something to hold on to.
I mean, they both need therapy for sure.
Absolutely.
Well, they go on to write a
book.
Yeah,
about helping grieving families.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It would have been funny too if she said, honey, you hit him so hard he's talking to imaginary people.
Yeah. And Bert, I guess his book deal fell through and there were lawsuits, I think. Or maybe not lawsuits, but complaints.
Right. They started, this lady started telling her friends and everybody that he's a liar and a crook. And then it ended up that he didn't get his book. And they wrote a book for grieving families. And then there's this final scene at the cemetery.
They set the headstone.
This was great.
The headstone, yes. Again, they said that earlier in the episode, and then to finish off the episode in this way, just another moment that they kind of so much planning and payoff in this episode, but all very well done.
I see that, Sean. Yeah, he's
I'm like,
Sean is obsessed with shapes.
I love Al's outfits, and I want to dress like him for my brother-in-law's wedding.
Just have it
the
tied as a
coolest
lightning
outfit.
bolt.
Yeah. Well, his tie is just like this string, and then he has just this gigantic pin on the lapel. It's good. Oh, and they're like, well, why didn't you leap again? And or no, I was like, all right, are you done? And he's like, something like, not yet. And then he goes to tell him
that was a great reveal. Are you done? No, not yet. And they cut to her, and obviously there's still some relationship issues that they.
My brother had this T-shirt.
That's
my
funny.
oldest brother. Let's see if I can do this without skipping too much. And he's like, remember, if they tell him you're not retarded, you're
Room.
yeah.
I must have done it at least 3 or 4 times, just because it's the camera movement and trying to keep in track with the actors and focus pull when you're moving around.
That's so good. And Al's just loving it. I love Al. He has the best job.
Totally.
But it really such great with a cigar, such in just his clothes, such great delivery from Dean Stockwell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was actually watching an Enterprise episode, and he showed up the other day, and I was like, "What?"
I'm still on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm still on my Voyager rewatch, season 4. I'll probably do Enterprise after that.
Nice.
Enterprise is great. Voyager is the only one out of those shows that I kind of can't get myself to continue to watch it. I need to. I watched like the first season or something. Like I don't know why. I need to be in the right mindset to complete that one, and
here's what you do: watch the Bride of Chaotica episode.
Yeah,
and then that might motivate you to go watch the rest.
That's season 5, I think, right?
Yes.
But then I'll have to go back and all right. Well, maybe I'll do that. But I should just be able to do it.
They don't know how to write Captain Catherine Janeway. She is all over the place.
She's a weak link for me, and for me, a captain has to be really good. All the other captains, I really like them. I know Nick always has issues with Archer, but for me, Janeway always seems like weird. But whatever, I'll try it.
They just didn't know how to write her, and they
captain.
wasted her. Yeah, and they wasted her as the actor. Kate Mulgrew is a phenomenal actress. I've seen her in.
She is a good actress. She is a good actress.
I feel they caught their wind in season 4. Like I'm in the middle of season 4, and like a lot of the stories are like really great, like just science fiction stories. They're short, obviously, but they're really, really great. I think so far season 4 has been my favorite.
The big thing about season 4 is that's when Deep Space Nine finished. So now, instead of the writers being split between 2 shows,
right.
Voyager getting the lesser budget, it now gets the full budget, which before, at the later episodes of DS9, they were getting bigger budgets, but Voyager had to start out small because of that. And so and on top of that, well, that's another podcast, but just the change of actors, of the character of Kes leaving and Seven of Nine coming, it really changed the dynamic of the show.
Yeah, for sure.
Sent you guys off on a tangent. I was like, I saw Al when he was wearing weird clothes in Star Trek.
Back to the Quantum Leap thing, even though that's a fascinating conversation. We should have one like that at some point, but back to the Quantum Leap. I guess let's kind of focus. Each of us can share our general thoughts about the episode. Sean, how did you feel about this episode just in general?
It was excellent storytelling. It was heavier than normal, which this show's still trying to do stuff that's new and different, and I think it worked great.
Script, when you think about different episodes of, the full capability of what this show was able to achieve, how do you feel about an episode like this one?
I think it's a solid episode. It's a great one to introduce fans. It has a different type of pacing compared to what we've seen previously, but it has a way stronger payoff. Like it's really It's not the type of actiony type of payoff we've gotten over the last few episodes. This one is a far more intimate, emotional drive, and I think it captures the core essence of what this show does.
Nick, how did you feel about this episode?
I like this episode. I feel it had a lot of heart. It had a lot of emotion to it. It's interesting because last week's episode was probably one of my top. I don't know necessarily say if I would put this, but this just has a lot of emotional impact that I relate to, and so for that extent, I think that this is just quality, and this is the kind of quality that I feel like if they tried to do something like this today, it just seems to come off too CW, if that makes sense.
Yes,
sure.
Good, yeah.
It's creating drama, but they're doing it in a way that is realistic and believable, and with a family, not with a big ensemble cast coming in and weighing in. And the drama feels real.
I agree. Ro, how did you feel about this episode?
I know I came in late. Did you guys talk about the circumcision scene? No,
There is no circumcision scene,
Not-
but there's
no,
a good
they
joke.
mention it.
They
No,
mentioned.
they mentioned. He goes, "I can't help you with circumcisions" or something like that, which is funny.
I liked it. It was deep. It was very personal to whoever wrote it. A lot of stuff was pulled together very neatly and tightly and expertly written. I would agree with everything that you guys said. The only thing that I would not use this episode to introduce people to the show because it's so like heavy. I don't think it's representative of what the rest of the series, at least this far, shows us. I think I used to more fun episodes. I know there's some heavy episodes in there, but they're done a little differently than this one in particular. But overall, I mean, I like the mix of episodes and storylines that we've seen so far, and this one really kind of has set itself apart from the rest of the series. Really enjoying this one, and I think I might enjoy the next one too, because it's may go along the lines of being an episode that teaches you lessons, something a little bit. Yeah.
There was one thing I forgot to mention during this one scene, because he was trying to figure out what to do, and Al was, I only mention it because I'm like, is this the first time that Sam is like, I wish I could go home, and then to like get him to do the right thing, Al was like, you're in this body right now. This is your family now, and
Right.
you are home. So I thought that was a really awesome way of
putting it.
Yeah. But also lending something to Sam's character that he would love to go home and see his family if he could.
Yeah.
I personally agreed with most of the sentiments that you guys shared. I'll say something about what Nick said about that going into that kind of CW territory and how that this episode avoids it. I think the proof is that at the end, when you see this family at the headstone and how they're hugging each other, even I somehow felt something. You know what I mean? Like it's
with my cold dead heart.
Right. I mean, I don't like CW.
It has a soul.
I don't like the CW drama, or even when Rose said, "Oh, soap opera," or whatever. But at the end of the day, that scene, they earned that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They built up this episode in a way that by the end of it, when you're in that situation, you see it. There's something that you feel something when you watch it. I mean, maybe somebody didn't feel, but I feel like they've earned that feeling that people had, and they delivered. And it's something that it's so difficult to follow through on that. It's so easy to fall in these kind of tropes and the CW style. But to really build it in such a nice way and bring it to this kind of organic no cheats. They didn't cheat here. It was written very well, was built up nicely, perfectly acted by the cast. Even the supporting characters that I don't really know, I don't think I've seen them before or after, but I think that even they were good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So I guess with that in mind, let's just go one by one. Sean, do you have anything you want to plug?
If you want stickers, go to the Etsy shop. If you want silly drawing videos, go to the YouTube channel.
Perfect. Script, anything?
Yeah, this Saturday, Scripts on Saturday, I'll be reviewing a spy thriller script. And over on my Patreon, I dropped an interview with a pretty significant comic book creator. So you can go check that out. And then on my channel, I also had an interview with an independent comic creator. So 3 options for y'all just to go see. Go check it out.
Nice.
Awesome. And that show is at 7 p.m. For anybody who thought that I said 7:30, this was a misunderstanding. I've retracted the statement. It's 7 p.m. on Saturdays, just so you know. And Nick, anything you want to plug? You have your channels. I think that when I introduced you, I forgot to say Nick has 2 channels. One is Back Yard Tardis, where he straight up discusses and does streams about shows that he likes, pop culture stuff, a lot of science fiction stuff, sometimes other things that he enjoys. But there's also the other YouTube channel that he has called Adventures in Locksmithing, and in that one he kind of gives you a glimpse of what his day is like from his work, and I especially like that one. Recently he's also been doing something that, as a locksmith, he's reacting to certain movies or shows where there is locksmithing, or there is something that he has skills and expertise in, sort of gives his reaction to that. I think that's interesting too. Nick, do you have anything you want to plug?
Yeah, mostly just for the Adventures in Locksmithing channel. So I have had a couple of my videos lately have been kind of eviction walkthroughs showing some of the horrors that I've walked into, and give you a glimpse in that. Don't watch while eating. But tomorrow morning, I'm having drop the first half of my Locksmith Reacts to Hollywood, South Park, the Pandaverse. And
Wow.
This is more a commentary on the view of people in the trades, and how the public deals with us, how they talk with us, and yet the reality that is changing. And I had so many clips and talking about them, and I put it all together, and I'm like, wow, I did a whole hour, so I split it into 2. But that's something I really kind of got passionate with this one. So definitely, if there was one video on there that they were going to check out, that one's dropping tomorrow morning.
Well, I'm going to be there, and I'm going to check it out for sure, and I recommend that you all do too, anybody that's watching now. Ro, how about you?
I'm taking a little bit of a couple of days break. I do a lot of drop-ins in my audio podcast, so I have to refresh some files, and I've got some new patrons, so I got to record some new thank you segments, et cetera, et cetera. So I did a live show yesterday with a friend. We talked about some Topps Star Wars collector cards, showcase some of those, and then I just dropped the audio of that for my usual Thursday feed. I didn't have a new show, but taking a little break to kind of refresh some things, and we'll be back again next week.
And you can find his podcast. It's the Scarif Scuttlebutt Podcast, or Scarif Podcast, whichever you feel more comfortable with.
Sure.
And you can find them anywhere that there's podcast, whether it's Apple or Spotify or Amazon. Anywhere there's podcast, you'll find his podcast there. And there's a lot of good ones, episodes, a lot of things he's done throughout the years. No shortage of great podcasts to listen to. So if you haven't done so already, I highly recommend it. Obviously, also has his YouTube channel, which you should also check out. where he does things on there occasionally too. And before we go, let's also take some time to acknowledge so many great people here in the chat tonight, which I kind of did at the beginning, but there were others that sort of popped up. Of course, Tex Rogers, Rhonda Nefero, always great to see you guys here. Joshua Calkins, Noah Wharton, Lisa Katrine, Dust. That was also nice to see you here. Ishmael, nice to see you again as well. And if I missed anybody, I apologize. But great having such an active chat. I think that it really helps us because we're here having this conversation, but I always love seeing what you guys have to say, and we do our best, and hopefully we've all gotten better at this, but I'm saying we, mainly me, that I've been paying more attention to what people kind of discuss while we're discussing, what people say in the chat, and I really feel that it's developed into this nice dialogue between all of us, between the panel and you guys, and let's just continue this really nice thing that we're doing here, that we're celebrating this quality show, and there's really a good atmosphere and kind of good vibes around it, and I'm just really happy we get to do this every week, and hopefully we'll see you all here next week. So before we go, I guess we're just gonna put our outro. I just have to find it, and here it is. And there's no saxophone roll, sorry.
Man, gotta change that.